We are back. Sterling, Ryan, we got Iowa, we got Kyle Larson, probably a lock for us. Let's do it. Well, what is up, guys? Welcome to the Edge DFS. My name is Tyson Smith, joined by Sterling and Ryan. We had a few weeks off. What's going on with you guys, man? How are you?
Not too bad. How's it going today?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. So what are we thinking about this week? It's going to be hard to predict this one, right, guys? So let's get into that. Iowa, they have, a partial repave. Like, what do we think is going to happen here? There's going to be some tire issues, I'm assuming. Probably going to be pitting quite often. Like, what do we expect in this race? It's going to be hard to predict. Like, we should probably spread ourselves out. We probably have a core of like 3 guys that we like, but besides that, maybe we spread ourselves out. What are we expecting out of this one?
I'd say we expect something similar to Bristol, so a shit show.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I was kind of going into this week. I thought it was going to be a really easy week to predict. I thought it was going to be all track position and just, kind of building a lot like we did for Gateway there last week, I think it was. But and then we saw practice, and it just you had guys blowing tires left and right, and so I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of up in the air right now. That's what we were kind of talking pre-show. I don't. I don't know what to expect, but we're going to try to break it down the best we can.
So here are the odds here. We got Kyle Larson, Hamlin, Blaney, Bell, Elliott. So I checked this morning. Bell and Cindric are on backup cars. They're in the back of the field. Why would Christopher Bell be up here? I mean, he seems like a complete fade for us, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see it in a way because he just has been way better than everybody at these kind of tracks. It's like Phoenix. If you remember Phoenix, he won by like over 7 seconds, which was crazy. I think it was one of the biggest gaps in the new gen era, wasn't it? Didn't they say that? I believe. Yeah. And then Gateway, if you remember Gateway, he ran good at Gateway until he lost the cylinder there at the end. So, I mean, I kind of somewhat get it, but as a DFS standpoint, I think I'm going to kind of play it safe and not play him. But as a sports book bet, you could see him maybe sneaking in at the very end and, maybe he takes the lead with 10 laps to go on a restart or something like that. I definitely don't see him, in my opinion, leading enough laps and finishing first to hit optimal.
Yeah, I liked him early in the week, but I seen he was plus 380 when he opened, and I had no desire to bet that, and now I'm glad I didn't, because I have no interest in Christopher Bell today. I just don't think he gets. I mean, I can see him getting to the front, but he's not going to do enough to be DFS relevant.
Yeah. So yeah, if they would score him from his starting spot, I'd be more inclined to play him. But he's gonna have to finish probably first or second and lead a ton of laps to be hit value.
Yeah, that's a good thing to point out in case there's any new listeners that Christopher Bell is going to start last, but he will be scored from 10th place.
Yep.
So what did you guys notice in practice, qualifying? Like, anything jump out to you? The Xfinity race, I mean, obviously way different, but based off the track and the repave, like, what are we expecting and what jumped out to you as some cars that might be underrated here for this one?
I actually really like Noah Gragson. I messaged Sterling. I said, Noah Gragson looks really fast. And then obviously the tires, we touched on that. Trying to think anybody else that really stuck out to me. But other than that, I think that was the one that really stuck out to me was Noah Gragson. Did anybody really stick out to you?
Old Ross Chastain. He had their best average lap speed. He had the 6th best overall lap, and then he was laying down like top 5 speeds pretty much all of practice, and he's starting 17th. He ran the Xfinity race yesterday, can't remember where he ended up finishing there, but he was up inside the top 3 towards the end of it for a little while there. But I want to hit on that Xfinity race real quick and just hit on the fact that they had a lot of tire issues yesterday, blown tires. And one thing that I found kind of interesting was the fact that in practice, the Xfinity cars didn't really have a whole lot of any tire issues. But for the Cup practice, it was filled with tire issues. So the fact that Xfinity showed nothing in practice, but then had a shit race, kind of makes me think we see these Cup cars really just blow tires left and right all day long.
So what does that mean for us DFS wise? Like I said in the beginning, it feels like there's 3 drivers that we feel pretty comfortable with being, with the field or above the field. Are we like really just spreading ourselves out as much as we can? Like for me personally, I'm doing the mini max, I'm doing all the 20 maxes, so I have quite a few lineups. Minus Kyle Larson, it feels like maybe I should be spread out quite a bit on this race because we just don't know what to expect. Is that accurate?
I actually texted Sterling that same exact thing this morning. Sterling said he's going to play tight, but I said I'm probably going to have a whole bunch of different lineups and different lineup constructions, and just because, yeah, I mean, you just never. It just seems like these things are like landmines. You just never know when one's going to go off and end somebody's day. So I'm going to be way different on probably a lot of my lineups. Like I might double punt. It just because and play a bunch of place differentials in another one and then play everybody up front in another one. Like I think this might be one of the weirdest constructions I think I have yet so far.
Yeah, we actually seen double punt get damn close to being the optimal yesterday in the Xfinity race. But as far as what I'm doing, if you're playing a lot of lineups like 50 or 150 or whatever, I would definitely get spread out, but I'm going to do just the 20 max and I'll have that same 20 build in the 15. Now I plan on playing a very tight core. That's going to be like Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, and I'm not sure who else I'm going to squeeze in there. I do like Ross Chastain quite a bit. I'm going to look a lot at Bristol to help me decide who the other 4 guys are.
So the other guy I want to talk about here is Alex Bowman. He seems like he's going to be pretty popular. He's 33rd here. Like, it feels like if he gets, what do we need for him to do to pay off? It feels like it's a pretty low bar for him. But that ownership, is there any risk associated with that? Should we stay away from him? Are we embracing Bowman? What do you guys think?
I think Sterling's getting his calculator out here. I think I'm going to be about 100% on Bowman. He's going to get the calculator out, but I think like a top 20 or whatever is really all you need. And I think Bowman gets there pretty easily.
You need an 18th place finish for him to hit 5X, which I think is very reasonable for him to do. He's across all of the next gen short track races. Alex Bowman has been like a 15th to 18th place driver. So an 18th place finish shouldn't be anything for him. And he was fast as fuck in practice. He had the 4th best average lap and 4th best overall. Top 5 speeds all practice long. He just kind of struggled there in qualifying.
All right, guys, let's get into this breakdown. We're going to go down the line in order and break down these salaries. Let's do it. Break it down. All right. So, obviously, Kyle Larson at 11K. You can see the projection there. I mean, it's quite a big difference. I think let me sort by projection here. He's 12 points above. It feels like the consensus guy. I mean, he's coming in at 60% owned on a race. I feel like we probably should just embrace him. But Ryan Blaney at 9,800, second. Is this a situation? Are you making any rules where you want one or the other? Are you playing Blaney and Larson together? Can we do that? And if you're fading Larson in any of your lineups, if you're playing a bunch like me and maybe I'm only going 75% Kyle Larson instead of lock, do I want to make sure I get Blaney in there instead? Like, what are your thoughts here on these 2 guys here at the top?
I think you're 100% right. I think if I'm not playing Larson, I think I'm going to play Blaney. And I do believe I think I'm going to go probably 70 to 75% Larson. I might not go the full 100, and then play the other 25% Blaney. I don't know if I'm going to shove both of them in a lineup. I haven't built yet, but it just doesn't sound like something I don't think I'd do. But yeah, I think I'm going to do exactly what you just said. What about you, Sterling?
I would not be afraid to play both of them. I don't know if I'll get to any of that in just 20 builds, but I plan to be like 100% Kyle Larson. And the reason for that is he has been the best overall going back through the entire 2022, 2023, and what we've had this season on the short track package. He has an overall average finish of 8.3. And then this season alone, he's averaged a sixth place finish. So he's actually had a second, third, fourth, and then he was 14th at Phoenix. But I think Kyle Larson is hands down the best player of the day. And actually, ironically, Ryan Blaney has the second best overall finish in the next gen air on these short tracks. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of interest in both of them, but if I have to pick one, it's going to be Kyle Larson. And I'm going to try to build a couple with both of them, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that work.
Yeah. Now the one thing, it's just that practice. I mean, it's just, if we didn't see so many tires fail, I'd probably be 100% Larson. Like, it's just like, I'd be Larson, set it, forget it. And if something happens, but like, just like, let's just say the tire does blow on Larson, he hits the ball hard enough to break a toe link or something. That's the only reason I think I might go 25% the other way.
Yeah, I think that's the only way that he's not in the winning lineup.
Exactly. And I agree 100%. I think that's the only way, but I think I might hedge a little bit and try to go that way.
If you're looking for the easiest decision, well, it's not an easy decision, but if you're looking for one decision to completely change everything for you as far as leverage, just not getting to as much Kyle Larson could be that decision, but I don't think I have the balls to do that. And I don't think I'm going to do that. But anything can happen. I mean, like you said, if this dude just hits the wall too hard, his day could be over. And boom, there goes 60% of the field. So it's something to think about. It's not something I'm probably going to do, but if you're playing in that big contest and maybe you want to get a couple builds without Kyle Larson, maybe it's worth doing. But I don't think that we're super into that, especially Sterling. Anybody else? Okay, so we got Larson, Blaney. Blaney's priced pretty well. Anybody else in this top 10 that interests you? We got Kyle Busch at 8,200, Briscoe 7,400, Keselowski 9,200, Byron 10K, Chase Elliott at 8,700 in ninth, and Reddick in eighth. It seems like those guys are going to pick up some ownership. But generally speaking, it seems like Larson, Blaney, Reddick, and Elliott are the guys picking up the ownership here in the top 10. What do you guys think about that? Anybody else jump out to you? And who are you just unchecking in this top 10?
Honestly, I think for Josh Berry's, he's got an ownership of almost 29% on his. At that price, I think I would, I would uncheck that. Sterling's got 3% on his end, but
I'm seeing like 13% here, 13%. But it's all over the place. It's hard to, it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, I like Josh Berry. I just, I don't know for that starting position if I can get behind him. Brad K, he's a tough one because I mean he finished really good at Bristol in this shit show, but starting fifth, I think that's tough. What do you think, Sterling? Berry or Keselowski?
I don't really know what I want to do with Berry or Keselowski just yet. I think Berry, he would be the one I'd be more inclined to fade. Keselowski, we seen what he did at Bristol, but the thing that kind of sticks out to me with BK, and I'm going to lump Chris Buescher into this too. Both of these guys, they didn't really show a whole lot of speed in practice, but they were fast at Phoenix and Richmond.
Okay.
So I went back through and I looked at the old sheets for Richmond and Phoenix to see how Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher practiced then. And they actually showed a lot of speed back then at Phoenix and Richmond. Now, like I said, this week they didn't really show a whole lot of speed in practice, so kind of worried that that's going to carry over into the race, as the fact that they're just not, they didn't unload fast and they're not going to be fast. So Keselowski and Chris Buescher are two guys that I'm a little nervous to play.
Yeah.
So Kyle Busch is coming in. I'm seeing like 10% ownership. What are you guys seeing on your end?
Right, it's the
10.
same.
Yeah.
So is this? I mean, look, he's been doing terrible this year. We all know about that. But at 7th, we need him to win the race or lead a ton of laps. Any interest in him at a low owned type guy at 8,200, or are we just fading this dude until we see him get a damn win?
I think I'm fading him.
Yeah, his best finish this season in this package is 16th. And then last season, he did finish 3rd at Richmond, but outside of that, he really hasn't done anything in this package, and he didn't show any speed in practice. So I don't really care to have any Kyle Busch.
No. Did you see his not to get too far off the rails? Did you see his comments about reunion with Hendrick or JGR?
I did not.
Yeah, Bob Popgris asked him if like a JGR reunion's like in the books to fill in for Truex, and he was like, really nothing's off the table. I could go back to Hendrick if Rick would call me, or if Joe calls me, I'll go back. I mean, he's under contract on RCR till next year, like through next year. So
see another Reddick situation.
I don't know. So yeah, I'm kind of off on Kyle Busch right now because I feel like there might be some turmoil there.
Yeah. So speaking of Reddick, rounding out the top 10 here, Reddick, Elliott, seems like they're picking up some ownership here. What are your guys' thoughts on them? Where do you guys think you'll come in on Reddick and Elliott here? And then Chris Bell, obviously, he's at the back. So what are your thoughts as we round out this top 10?
Yeah, I'm kind of high on Reddick, I think, and then Chase Elliott, I think I'm going to be high on also. Reddick was fast in practice. Is that what you're seeing, Sterling? I know I kind of saw that just on NASCAR's, but I know you got the breakdown, but I saw Reddick was super fast.
Yeah, Reddick was fast, and he showed a lot of speed, like mid-practice to late practice, and then he's been a top 10 car in this package this season. A little outside top 10, I guess, but he ran well. He's been like a top 15 place car throughout the next gen era in short track racing.
All right, so let's move on outside the top 10 here in this sort of middle tier. Denny Hamlin, 10.3K. He's 12th. You got Logano. Anybody in this range? Let's get down to Buescher at 8,500. Let's talk about some of these guys. Chastain at 8,300. Let's get into these guys. What do you think, Sterl?
Denny Hamlin is hands down my favorite in this range. He showed top 3 speed in practice. He's been a top 3 car in this package, and he won at Bristol when we had that tire shit show, and I think we see something very similar today. And my builds are going to be focused around Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's my main guy out of that range right there.
So Buescher. So Sterling, let's talk about Buescher. You brought him up in the pre-show. You brought him up a little bit earlier. How we handling him? I'm seeing 12, 13% ownership. Does that feel low to you? Are you trying to get some leverage? What are your thoughts on Buescher?
I could see him coming in a little higher owned than that, and I probably will be around like 25, maybe 35%. Originally, Buescher was someone I was very high on because going back through and looking, where is he here? He's been a top 10 car in the short track package throughout the entire next gen era. But this season alone, he's been a top 7 car. He finished 2nd at Phoenix, 3rd during the, what the hell was it? The All-Star race there. And then 9th at Richmond. So he's shown top 10 speed in this short track package. But like I said, his practice speeds this week, they weren't very great. So that made me go back through and look at Richmond and Phoenix, and he had great practice then. So I'm just really nervous that his practice speed carries over, and he does not have speed today.
Yeah. Going back over Sterling stuff, I was looking at that. I got to agree. So I might fade him.
So
I'm not fading him, but I'm probably gonna have like 25-35%.
Okay.
So anybody else in this range that you're just not comfortable playing? I know Sterling, you're playing only 20 lineups or so, but for somebody who's playing more, maybe the mini max or something, are there still guys that you wouldn't be comfortable playing at all in this range? Suarez, some of the ownership coming in super low on some of these guys, like anybody that you just are willing to uncheck, because I like to try to uncheck guys that I'm just not interested in at all. Any advice on that?
Suarez might be an interesting one. I'm normally out on Suarez, but he looked fast in practice from what I kind of. Wait a minute, maybe I was looking at the wrong guy. Maybe that's not Suarez I was thinking. Now that I'm looking at Sterling's laptop, or no, yeah, he was actually kind of fast. There we got the right. So he was actually kind of fast. So I mean, he's one that, like, if he sneaks into a back end of a top 10, like 9th place, I think for 7K, I think that would really be all you would need. I mean, is there any interest for you, Sterling, and Suarez? He would normally be checked off if he didn't show a little bit of speed in practice.
The only reason I have any interest in him is because of that ownership projection.
Yep.
He's right there, like 6%. He did show a shit ton of speed in practice, but Suarez is somebody that I just always struggle to trust unless it's at like a road course or super speedway and he's starting in the back. But I don't know if I'm going to have any Suarez or Todd Gilliland.
Yeah, I mean, Gilliland and Bubba Wallace, I don't think I'll really have any of. But I might sprinkle in some Suarez, Busher, and Hamlin, I think.
All right, so let's talk about Chastain at 8,300 here. 17th, you talked about him earlier in the show. I'm seeing 25% ownership potentially for him. We embracing this guy? What do you think? Where are you coming in ownership-wise with him?
I'm seeing him right around 20%, and I'm probably going to be I'll definitely be over that. I might even be closer to double or more. He was really fast in practice, actually. Let me see if I can.
He was up at the top. Very top. There he is.
Oh, yeah, yep. Very top. He had the number one average. So he had top for most practice, he actually had top 3 speed. And then if you look back at the short track package just this season, he has been a 7th place car, and he's been like a 12th place car overall throughout the next gen era. So I have a lot of interest in roster saying he did run the Xfinity race yesterday, so he's got 200 and some laps more than everybody else has. So I have a lot of interest in roster saying, and I'm probably going to be like 50 to 60% on him.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. He's one of the ones that I think he's going to be a top 5 guy owned for me.
So Dinger, Haley, Hocevar here in this range. With some value here to talk about, probably between 5 to 10% ownership. Are these guys you're unchecking? Are you getting to any exposure? Are they worth just throwing in a couple lineups here and there?
Definitely, I think Haley and Hocevar are. I don't know how you feel about Allmendinger. I'm kind of on Allmendinger, but Haley has just been fast lately. I mean, for him, I mean, he's just been sneaking in the back end of top 10s and stuff. And I don't know how he looked in practice, but he just, I mean, running 10th in Darlington, and last week I think he got a top 10 too, didn't he?
I want to say, yeah.
I want to say he got a top 10 last week. So like he's been like quietly really good. So I'll probably sprinkle in some Justin Haley, and Hocevar is another guy that's outrunning his equipment and his starting spots. So I'll probably sprinkle in a little bit of both of them. Not a whole. What do you see as far as ownership for them too?
I'm seeing 8%, 6% ish.
Yeah, I'll probably be way like maybe not quite double, but I'll be over the field on that.
I would prefer to play Hocevar over Haley just because Haley has struggled in this package, but he has shown a shit ton of speed recently. But like I said, in this package specifically, he has struggled a little bit. Like his best finish this season in it is 24th, but he also always qualifies worse than what he did this time. So he definitely a very interesting low own play, but I would prefer Hocevar there.
All right, so Cindric, 7,500. He's moving to a backup. He's in the back of the field, being scored from 21st. Now Christopher Bell is a different situation because he qualified at 10th. He's going to have to get in the top 10 or top 5 or lead laps in order to pay that off DFS wise. But Cindric, starting 20 or being scored from 21st here. What are we thinking about him here, man? Like I'm seeing some low ownership, probably right above 10%. What are we doing with him? Is he another guy that we're not super interested in? How did he run in practice? What are your thoughts on him?
He's probably a guy I'm probably gonna uncheck, probably not play. And Sterling's bringing up practice right now. Did he look good in practice?
No, he was terrible.
Okay, yeah, he's probably being unchecked for me. McDowell's a tough one. How'd he look in practice?
I want to say he was shockingly fast in practice
because like he's one that can like he for once he didn't out qualify his equipment. Like he's always been qualifying in the top 10, so I'm kind of like been low on him.
Yeah, he had quite a few laps that he was a top 3 car, but then he had a lot more laps that he was outside of the top 15. So I could see him being like a 15th place car, which would give him, what is he, 22nd? So roughly 34 points.
That's his car number. Yeah. Yeah. I'll probably have a little bit of him too. That's actually, yeah. Cause I mean, he's just been quietly good. He qualified on the pole at Gateway. So, I mean, he does kind of know how to get around these flat tracks, I guess.
Yeah. But if we're in that range, it's hands down Noah Gragson for me.
Yep. Yeah. Noah Gregson's probably in my core.
Yeah. I mean, 6,900, 35% ownership, probably even more than that. It feels like he's the best value on the slate. Do you guys agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And is he a guy that you'd be comfortable getting to 75% or more of?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be actually.
So pairing
I feel like he can't really hurt you a whole lot if he's one of the ones that have tire issues. He can't really hurt you a whole lot. So, and he looked fast in practice. So, I might be close to 100 on him. He might be one of them.
Pairing him and Larson together just feels right.
Yes.
With that savings. All right. So anybody else in this range here? Let me actually sort the other way here. 1 second. So let's see, where were we at here? So Gregson, anybody else in this range that jumps out to you? It feels like all these guys, Ty Gibbs coming in maybe around 25% ownership. I'm not sure what you guys are seeing. He's 9K. Martin Truex Jr., I'm seeing 30% ownership. Bowman, like up there. He might be one of the higher owned guys on the slate. What are we thinking about these guys, in the back of this? Anybody jump out to you? Who are you unchecking to? And Austin Dillon, starting in the back, 6,200. Any reason to get any of him?
I actually, like I was talking pre-show, and I hate saying it, but I think I'm going to be in on Austin Dillon today. Just starting in the back, this is going to be a strategy race. RCR is known for their strategies. And if he doesn't run good, it's not going to hurt you a whole lot because he is starting 36. But I hate saying it. I'm probably going to be high on him.
Yeah, I don't really have any interest in LaJoy Burton or Zane Smith. I don't have any interest in Grawler. Maybe a little bit in Hemrick and Priest. But as far as Gibbs, Truex, Bowman, these guys that are going to be chalky.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to fade Gibbs and Truex just for the simple fact that they are going to be two of the highest owned on the slate. Bowman, though, he's He's a little cheaper, showed great speed, actually. So Bowman is probably the guy I'm going to be in out of those three. But when you get down here to like Austin Dillon, John Hunter Nemechek, Ricky Stenhouse, I'm probably just going to mix and match those guys. I have a feeling I'm going to end up having at least one of those guys in every lineup.
Yeah, same.
So maybe you're creating a rule here for a lot of these guys in the back, just a min one, max two as a double punt, potentially allowing that to happen.
Yeah. I can see that.
All right. So anybody else to talk about here? Are you leaving guys like Eric Jones, Hemrick, Priest in your player pool?
I would uncheck Jones. He looked terrible in practice.
Jones was garbage.
Yeah, I would uncheck him. Hemrick, I don't think I have any interest in that Daniel Hemrick.
I don't mind him just because of his price, and I've built a little bit so far, and you're going to have to try and get down there. Like, I actually kind of wish David Starr was in the race because I built a couple lineups that I had 5K left, but that was it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I haven't built yet, so yeah. I mean, I guess if you have to get down there, that would be the only reason why I would play.
I would rather try to find an extra 100 and play Hemrick than play Kaz Grala if I have to. Like, I'm going to try to avoid those guys, but if I'm down there, it's Hemrick for me.
All right. Anything else to talk about here? Overall, pricing wise, roster construction wise, or you guys want to move on to our crown their ass?
Yeah, let's move on.
All right, we're crowning their ass on DraftKings. This is a favorite driver. This is our driver that we're picking fantasy wise to be our favorite. Am I correct about that?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
So Larson's the obvious pick, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan came in with Larson as well. But he's doing a little pivot with Blaney. This feels like pretty obvious here for Larson, obviously, but sometimes you just gotta play the guy that's the best on the field, and this is him. Any other thoughts? Any other guys here that would jump out to you? Was there any other debate for you, Sterling, or was this just clearly obvious?
I definitely debated on playing Hamlin because I feel like you hit it spot on with Larson being pretty obvious here. But if it wasn't Larson for me, it was definitely going to be Denny Hamlin.
And Ryan, if people are jumping around in the show, thoughts on Blaney here, and we've already covered it, but if you could probably play a couple lineups with these two guys together. That would be quite unique. Would you think?
Yeah, I would. I figured Sterling was going to go Larson, so I just trying to pivot off that. I would go Larson if it wasn't for him, but yeah, Blaney just, like I said, has been fast at these tracks that kind of perform close to what Iowa should perform at, like Phoenix and Gateway. So I mean, he's been really good at all them tracks. So I had to pick Blaney starting second.
All right, let's move on to our fade of the night here.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Truex, unchecking him. Christopher Bell, I feel like moving to the backup car, moving to the back of the field, qualified at 10th. He's going to need a pretty damn good day. He's going to need to lead a lot of laps or finish first in order to pay that off. Any additional thoughts on this if people are jumping around the show?
Yeah, I mean, just on my Christopher Bell, like I said, if he comes out and wins this race today, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think he still will get to the lead quick enough to be hit value. So that's why I have him. Anything to add on yours, Sterling?
Mine's really kind of more just the ownership thing. I'm seeing him almost 50% owned, and I think I'll be surprised if he's less than 40% owned. Truex, that is. And he didn't show any speed in practice. Like, he was around a 20th place car. And
I noticed that too.
It's gonna be a struggle for him today. So I'm gonna fade the ownership and hope it works in my favor.
So is the high ownership a combination of starting? He's 31st, so you could it seems like you can almost only just go up from there, as well as maybe him being in the news. Is that have anything to do with this? Is his ownership just inflated a little bit more than it should be?
Yeah, I think anytime somebody sees one of them big names starting in the back, I think the ownership just goes up for place differential. So, but yeah, I agree with Sterling. He didn't show any speed in practice. So, yeah, I mean, it could bite us, but I think I'm 100% fading him too.
And two of his teammates, Gibbs and Bell, had tire issues, so he could run into the same thing and wreck out. So
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to a lineup build. Make sure you guys jump in the Dynasty DNA Discord. A lot of good guys in there. That room is very active. A lot of smart guys talking. That is in the description. If you want to click into that, that's free. No breakdown from Sterling this week because of just this track in general, but make sure you're in there. And while you're at it, jump into the Edge DFS Discord. We got the UFL championship today, so we're in there talking about that showdown there. All right, let's build a cashy sort of single entry build. Let's ignore the ownership. Let's actually embrace the ownership and try to get kind of the top build for a cash build. So obviously Larson right off the bat. This is a Gregson situation here, you think?
Yeah, I 100% think so.
yeah,
What do we think about? Is this a Bowman situation as well here?
Yeah. Let's go with our core. Would that be your core, Sterling? Just out of curiosity.
I'm not too sure yet. I'm gonna try to make my core Larson, Hamlin, and then I'm not sure what my third's gonna be.
Okay.
Probably Gregson.
All right. So when it comes to cash here, we got 8K per spot left for 3 spots. It feels like we could do a lot here. We might want to grab one more value guy and go up and grab another dude. But is this a situation? We talked about it. If you're playing a cash lineup and you're fading Truex in all your GPP builds, is this a situation where you embrace the ownership, play Truex in your cash, or are you just saying there's no chance, I don't like this guy at all, I'm going to go away from him in all of my lineups? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, that's a tough one because I'm kind of with Sterling. Like, he did not show any speed. So, I mean, if you want to embrace ownership, I could see playing him, and I wouldn't argue that. But I think me personally, if I do play any cash lineups, I think I'm still going to leave him out just because he didn't show anything at all.
Yeah, I think we're already fairly chalky with Larson, Bowman, Gregson.
All right, where are we going next then? Anybody else jump out to you just right off the top of your head? That's a good play. That has some decent ownership.
What about Austin Dillon? He's high owned, right? 27%. That's kind of a decent semi punt.
All right, Dylan, let's try it. Let's see if it works. I mean, we can go wherever we want here. Now, at this point, we're already pretty chalky. If we wanted to go Hamlin, we probably could.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Let's try to go Hamlin and see where that leaves us.
Leaves us with Cindric, Briscoe, McDowell.
Do we want to try McDowell?
I was gonna say McDowell or Briscoe just for the ownership.
Okay.
So Larson, Gregson, Bowman, Dillon, Hamlin, McDowell. This could go a lot of different ways. But it feels like Larson, Gregson, Bowman, and maybe Dillon as a punt to get you some salary saving in there as well is probably a decent way to start. And then you could figure it out from there. Hamlin as well. It feels like you guys really like Hamlin. I'm in on that. Decent little cash build to start. Now let's start having fun. Let's start having fun. Let's start building some GPP lineups. So let's do like an obvious fun, GPP build. Let's just start with you want to start with our core here? Let's get Hamlin.
Let's go Blaney instead of Larson. Maybe let's try it.
All right, let's do it. So Blaney instead of Larson. We're definitely going to want Hamlin in here as well, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Gregson here, let's just plug him in. You're going to plug him in every lineup pretty much.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, where are we going from here? Let's talk about some of these GPP guys that you guys were interested in grabbing. Is this a boat? Can we, with this build, since we're already fading Larson, it feels like we can do whatever the hell we want and be relatively unique. Can we embrace Bowman here? Do we want to leave him off of this one? What do you guys think?
Let's embrace Bowman and see how we can go from there. I think
7,500 a pop. So we gotta come down.
So let's say we do John Hunter Nemechek here at 5,600, and then that leaves us 94. Oh, I don't know. I don't really. Tyler Reddick would be the only one really in that range left.
We could do like either Ryan Priest, Hosevar, Gilliland. Then that would leave us enough for like Chastain or somebody in that area.
I actually I texted Sterling earlier and said Ryan Priest showed really fast laps a little bit in practice. So I might be foolishly a little higher on Priest. So I actually kind of like that. So if you go like Priest and then Chastain, I think that's a pretty decent lineup.
Yeah, I like that.
So no Larson. We got Blaney, Hamlin, Gregson, Bowman, Priest as kind of a punt-ish, and then Chastain. So this feels like it's not a super risky lineup, but just by fading Larson, we've already really made ourselves pretty damn unique. You want to do a Larson without Blaney build and see how that goes?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Larson, let's get Gregson in here. Pairing those two guys together feels right. You want to try Hamlin here with Larson and see how screwed we are when it comes to salary and see what we got to do? We're going to have to double punt probably, right?
Yeah, let's try it. So
All right.
That's 7,200.
You want to go low just right off the bat?
Yep, let's go. Like I said, the lowest guy I might do is John Hunter Nemechek, unless we really have to go lower than that.
Yeah.
Is this do we need to? So we got 8K left for 2 spots. Do you want to go down and get an Austin Dillon in here, and then we got a lot of money to play with, or is that just too much?
Well, let's see. I'll click Dillon, and then that leaves us with 10K. So you could go Blaney if you wanted.
Yeah. And if you're not wanting to play those guys together, there's probably no reason to go down that low again, right?
Right.
Or
so
you could come off Nemechek and go up a little higher if you wanted to, but so this, so for a Larson Blaney lineup, this feels pretty decent. Larson, Gregson, Hamlin, Nemechek, Dillon, Blaney. I mean, we got Larson, Hamlin, and Blaney together. That feels pretty powerful. We kind of, Gregson. I wouldn't call Gregson a punt, right? I mean, he feels like he's a good value play that we can rely on. So this is kind of a double punt. Or are we considering Dillon like just a complete punt? Or because he's starting so far back, as long as he finishes in the 20s, he probably pay off.
Yeah. I mean, he shouldn't be a punt, but I don't know. That depends on, I guess. I don't know.
We'll call it a punt and a half.
Yeah, he frustrates me.
All right, so we got a Larson Blaney lineup. Let's go back to Larson, Gregson, Hamlin. Let's do no Blaney on this one.
Okay.
So you want to get weird with anybody else? We talked about Chastain. There's Bowman still out there. What do we think?
Let's go Chastain off that, and let's see if we could do that. Chastain, Hamlin, Larson. What do you got? Gregson. And then what's that leave us?
This feels like probably a Nemechek and
Dillon. Let's try Nemechek. And then that leaves us with 79. You could go
Bubba.
Yeah, you could go Bubba. Yeah, you could try that. I feel like, what's Bubba's ownership? I feel like he's going to be kind of lower owned.
He's probably 10% or lower.
Yeah, 14.
Yeah, I'm seeing him right around.
I actually don't mind that. That could be a decent pivot.
So if you didn't want to play as much Nemechek, you could do Austin Dillon down here.
Yeah, let's try that. Let's go Dillon. And then that leaves us 73. It actually leaves Michael McDowell. Or Suarez if you want to go super, super weird. Because like I said, I could see Suarez sneaking into the back end with top 10.
Yeah.
So Sterling, what are your thoughts on salary on this one? Are you setting would you set a hard cap, a hard minimum? Are you embracing leaving a little bit of money on the table? Feels like we've gotten close to maxing out every time that we've tried. Is that a signal to go ahead and continue that trend, or leaving a little bit of money on the table in a race like this could be beneficial?
So far from what I've built, I think you can set that at like 49.5. You could stretch it to 49, but from what I've built so far, I'm using pretty much every little bit of salary.
All right, so what'd you guys learn? We built some decent looking lineups. It feels like building is pretty straightforward. Obviously, for someone like me who's building a ton of lineups, obviously I'm using SaberSim. So I'm going to be setting in quite a few rules. But it feels like being spread out amongst some of these guys that we're unsure of, just getting to, unchecking dudes that we're just like completely like, nah, there's no chance this guy pays off. And then spreading ourselves out from there, with our core of basically Larson, Gregson. I'd say Hamlin is in our core as well.
Yeah,
right?
I would too.
Bowman is maybe a fringe kind of core guy. What else did you guys learn after hand building some lineups?
Yeah, you could basically go all over the board, and like you said, building's kind of easy this week. Like there's good value plays, good chalk or punt plays, I guess, and good chalk plays. So yeah.
Yeah, as long as the tires stay together, I think we have a good day.
Yeah, I think so too.
Let me put you guys on the spot. You guys have a bold take. It doesn't even need to be fantasy wise, but just the way this race ends, somebody crashing out, somebody blowing an engine, lap 2. Like, what do you guys think? Any bold takes?
I'm gonna say Christopher Bell ends up winning this race.
Oh, you're a douche. I'm gonna say it ends with Kyle Larson putting Hamlin in the wall.
Oh, I like that. That'd be cool.
Oh,
I mean, not for DFS, but
Not
that'd
for
be cool
DFS.
as far as like, hopefully,
coming to the checkered, they did.
yeah, hopefully they throw the caution and freeze the field. So, yeah.
All right, guys, make sure you throw us a like on the way out. Let's get to 30 likes on this video. What's next week?
What is New Hampshire? Oh, good point, actually. Next week is New Hampshire. Basically, very similar, almost identical track, same package. So, whatever you see this week is going to carry over into next week. So, take notes and pay attention, I guess.
All right,
Yeah.
so how do I watch this damn race? Like, this is on USA Network?
Is it on USA?
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't even look.
I don't even know how to do that. I had a system down for Fox, where I would just download the Fox Sports app and watch it for an hour and then delete it and reinstall it and watch it for another hour. I don't know if I have that. I don't know if I have that technology for USA, but we'll figure that out. All right, guys. We'll see you in the Discord later.
Yep. Yeah.